All right, guys, here we go to watch this video for Tuesday, November 13th. If that looks like an ugly candle in the SPY, it is. Dow was down like 600 points today. I was a little skeptical about trading today because it was a holiday and I thought it might be low volume and no action. Well, I guess it would have been nice to log in and short everything this morning, which I didn't do. I didn't do much of anything. My account does sit at highs for the year, though, which I'm proud of. I don't say that in a bragging fashion. I say that because if you watch social media and you see all these people, saying, stop losses are important and cut your losses and this or that. In markets like this, and keep in mind, I have to sit through and watch people in a strong market hold something 3 or 4 days and get a 3 or 4 day run out of something they bought 3 or 4 days ago, and just every day it's higher and higher. And I know they're making a killing, and I'm always a little jealous and envious of that. But personality-wise, for me, I have to be in cash every night. Okay, so it's times like this when I'm sort of vindicated in my methodology, and everybody, everybody has the perfect scenarios for their personality. But I like logging in every day in cash and eking out a trade or two here or there that make sense with an A-plus intraday setup and going back to cash, and then I don't have to worry about what happens overnight or where the market opens up. All right, so pretty ugly day in the market, though. We'll just start fresh tomorrow. I'm going to show you the watch list for tomorrow. And PYX, again, I just put back on watch. It's just been decimated, and it's almost down to these July lows. 1360-ish was the July lows. Today, it hit 1444. So, if it starts to sell off in the morning, I love it kind of below this area right here. Maybe we'll get a reversal. Certainly not a bullish chart, but it's still worth watching for a bounce. Same thing with HEAR. We did get another down day. We broke support, right? This one little spot here, 1592, that it hit, a couple weeks ago. So a lot of people would look at this and say, well, we broke support, it's going to tank now. But I look at it and say, well, we broke support, but after 4 red days, and it did hit the 200-day. So again, I'm not bullish on this chart by any stretch, but I think it might give us a long trade tomorrow, and that's going to depend on the overall market. Keep in mind, I had this on Bounce Watch today, and it never came close to giving any kind of a signal. So just because something's on my watch list doesn't mean there's going to be any trades in it. CTSO, another red day. This had this huge day. Now we're 3 days down in a row on declining volume. It looks like a pretty thin stop, but we'll put that one back on Bounce Watch tomorrow. Another one that no signal in it at all today, just no trades. NVLN. If you watch my videos at all, you know I like the stocks that are in play. NVLN, let's see, on Thursday traded 40 million shares, over 35 million shares on Friday, and it's starting to kind of roll back over. Is it going to round trip and come all the way back down? I have no idea, but it is coming back down to the 20-day from above. It had a huge squeeze here, then it put in a lower high, then today's a lower high again. Might be getting to that area where people say, okay, that good news is going to kick back in. And again, a lot of that relates to the overall market. When the market's weak, and it's the good thing about trading with rules, when the market's weak, a lot of times I just won't get a buy signal in anything I'm watching. It just keeps me on the sidelines. Having said that, if you're on my YouTube channel, I did make a video today, and I'm not going to go into it here because the video kind of tells my thoughts on it, but I made a video today on RSLS, which you can't tell anything by looking at that daily chart, but when you go to 5-minute candles, it literally did this and then did this. And while it was doing this, I felt a little bit irresponsible not finding a way for our members into it. But I certainly addressed that in the video, and the reason it ran and the reason it sold off. And I talked quite a bit about it, so I definitely don't want to do that here. Let's see, NBLN, ACB. Let's go back to the daily. A pot stock that looked like, if you read the headlines today, it looked like they had like blowout earnings, and it did have extra volume today, but it closed well below its open. So I'm not going to lie to you, I don't really like this one. And as I'm going over this, I feel a little bit silly for having it on watch, but I know there's a few of the pot stocks reporting this week. They reported today. And so they might get going if any of them like blow things out of the water. But I am going to watch this one. Let's go to 5-minute candles. And keep in mind, I threw this on the list before the market closed. It actually looked like it was holding up pretty well after that initial sell-off. Kind of rolled over a bit at the end of the day, like everything did. Probably my least favorite, though, of the pot stocks that I'm getting ready to talk about. There's two more that I want to watch. CGC, which had this really nice run for about a week and a half, and now you're 3 days lower on declining volume. And I think they report sometime this week. So that one's really interesting to me. And TLRY also had this huge move back here, and now we're 3 days lower. Really kind of found support in the same area the last couple of days. And I think they report maybe tomorrow. Double check that. So that one's worth watching. KODK was on the gap playlist today and gapped up. And look at the intraday here. Gaps up, sells off, and then quietly over the hours gets to this little cup and handle and then breaks out. And then it's just nothing was easy because we were fighting the overall market. But a little extra volume there and a fairly strong close when you talk about how weak the market was. So I want to watch that one tomorrow. A couple more. MNGA, I'll zoom in, you can see this one better. MNGA had this big spike back here, but sold off, put in a lower high here, and then gapped up today on news and closed pretty strong, actually taking out the highs from about a week ago. Nice volume, 46 million shares. So this could have a follow-through day tomorrow. And then SLS had the gap up. Remember, two sessions ago, I should say 3 sessions ago, I loved this chart. You had this pop, you had like a lower high, then you had this cup and handle, loved it through 2, and then it made its run in pre-market, which was annoying to me, and then sold back off. But the chart still looks really good, especially if you consider how weak the market was today. This gapped up, sold off, and next thing you know, it's right back up above 2. So this is actually one of my favorite charts going into tomorrow. Just be careful. Don't bet too much money on any one trade, and make sure that you are honoring your stops. I'm not trading unless and until, as I always say, unless and until I get an A+ setup, and I want to make sure that if that happens, and that's on an intraday basis, preferably on one of these charts I just showed, or on a morning gapper that will build a list of those tomorrow, I won't trade unless and until I get an A+ intraday setup. Preferably, if you've seen any of my videos, with stacked catalysts above, hopefully at a whole number inflection point, when certain things and a clean level 2, when a few things line up, and couple that with I'm not fighting this, the SPY that's tanking at the same time, that's when I pull the trigger. So if I can pass anything along to a newer trader, it's certainly to be patient and don't feel like you always have to be in something. All right, trade like a sniper and make sure that you understand what an A+ setup and a proper entry is. I like to enter things so I'll be green right away after I take an entry, and that usually happens when several of those things that I just alluded to line up. So learn those, study, and then stay on the sidelines unless and until you have things lining up like that. All right, I'm done babbling. Have a great night. We'll see everybody tomorrow.